and we'll upload this to YouTube.
Great.
Okay, so I'm assuming everybody can look. I actually may share my screen here, looking at the top level epic, just to level set with everyone on the call about architecture on the actual epic. Oh, I was 1 level up, 2 levels up. Here we go. So we're going to be discussing MVC2, which is looking close. Everything is in 13.12 that's in there, as well as kicking off MVC3 and just level setting to see how we feel on this and what's in the epic. If we might be missing anything, this is kind of the last chance to kind of look at it from a high level. We also have another epic that Scott added, which I've added here to the top, which is called Epic Parity with Existing Boards. And I'm wondering too, if we could take the action of maybe moving some of these into MVC3, or moving this, maybe even just this whole top level epic into MVC3 so we don't miss it. And our customers also see that it's coming in that third bunch. So that's high level, kind of what I wanted to go through. And the first item I had was, so just first talk through MVC2 and then MVC3. So I'm just going to open it back up. Are there any questions, concerns, things we should talk about in terms of these last 2 open issues here?
The first epic boards allow filtering of epics via filter bar. That I would say is done. What's his Simon merged in the not filter yesterday. And then if you scroll down all the way to the bottom, John said something. Yeah. So John said, are you actively working on this? We're ready to move part into development. So I would say this issue can be closed, because then this issue that he referenced is referencing roadmaps for filters in roadmap view. So I was like, maybe we should just do a separate one for roadmaps.
This one's definitely, this wouldn't be on the board itself, so this wouldn't block the epic board feature. So yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, so let's close this out and then,
yay.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's one down.
And the one that's left, Yaka is still working on some back-end things about relative positioning for the reorder of epic. So what's left? So the drag and drop between lists is technically done, but it currently does not support the order of the epics within a list. So I'm keeping an eye on the backend merge request for this. And as soon as it gets merged, I'll just need to add a few parameters to the drag and drop mutation so that it supports relative positioning, and we'll be done.
Nice.
It just depends on when the backend gets merged, basically, and then I'll make sure the front end supports positioning as soon as that's possible.
Okay. And that's this one?
Yeah, so this is the backend merge request that Yaka is currently working on. Well, there's an issue and a merge request.
Yeah.
And then there will be a little bit of front end, which should be pretty minor.
Okay, so that sounds like, so if it's fairly minor, looks like we would be on track for the 22nd.
Yeah, I would say we are. That repositioning thing has taken much longer than we thought. It looked like
there was all kinds of
we thought. So I would say we are on track, but Yaka is the one who knows all the technical details of that. I'm hoping we can get it in, but I wouldn't promise anything just because I don't know what that entails on the back end.
Okay. Well, it looks like we're on track. If for some reason we don't make the final for this one, we'll just skip that release post and we'll just go out with the 14.0 with everything in the main feature. So I mean, and when it merges, our customers with the feature flag could still keep trying it regardless of whether it's in the release post. So we'll still be well ahead.
Right.
Okay, so that's good. So it looks like we'll make it for MVC2. And then for MVC3, there's still a lot in here. So I guess the question is, and also should we bring this whole other epic in that Scott added so that we're aware of that in the MVC3, or would this work outside of shipping it?
So I was talking to Donald, and I think I want to say this is like your call. There's a few things that are in here that are like customer feedback from one of those issues that we're doing. So for example, the epic count and epic boards, that's like theoretically parity with issue boards. So you could call it like a bug, but I don't know if I would block a release for that. And then also there's a few little edge cases that I was speaking with Donald about. And I think we should 80-20, like, are these features actually being used and will anyone notice it? And should that clog, like, should that block what we're doing? And I think, yeah, so like the second one down in Epic Board search, when clicking on board card labels, it like it's not updating the filter bar. And I'm investigating that right now. But Donald was like, I don't know who uses that.
I don't use that feature. I saw that on lists. I didn't even realize you could do that.
Right. So like, that's that's a really long-winded answer. I don't know.
Yeah.
Whatever you think. I would. Yeah.
What do you think? That corner case, to me, that one seems less to me like I would put that in, but we could call this one feedback, maybe, and then have it outside of the main MVCs.
Yeah. Probably. Yeah, we could do that.
Okay, and then this other one, let's just check. Display current user on top of token.
Yeah, so because we are switching to GraphQL for this new implementation, when you click like author equals, and then it'll always put the current user, yourself, on top. So that's not happening in GraphQL. It's a pretty low fix, but I'm not sure who would notice.
Okay. That's another one that we could probably add on. So this I'll rename this one to like polish and feedback.
Yeah, that's fine.
Because we'll get more of that feedback once we go out with MVC2 or the final as well, and we'll just aggregate them all here. Cool. However, the count one, I did want to ask Alexis about that if she has an opinion. She's on here.
I think the count one is probably the most urgent. Not that it should block a release, but it's the kind of bug that we probably want to fix as soon as possible.
Yeah, it's like they're not updating when you search again, so the numbers are out of whack.
Yeah, and that's a backend GraphQL query. So we have the ticket, and then it's mainly a backend issue, but backend's been really clogged up with other work. So we just need to prioritize it.
Okay.
But it's a pretty straightforward thing.
Yeah, I would say that's like MVC, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, basically.
That's pretty major. Okay, so I'm going to bring that one into MVC3.
Okay.
Boop. I don't know where the heck in this priority list it should go. I probably just messed up everyone's build board. Let's put it down here. Okay, so it's in. Looking at it, everything's still saying 13.12. I was assuming some work would also happen in 14.0, but so far nothing has punted. So that's another question I have, is it looks loaded in 13.12. I would assume that some of these...
we won't be able to get all of that in 13.12. I don't think.
I don't think so either. I don't know where the cut line is, but it seems like we should have some work in 14.0 still. So if there are ones you all want to preemptively pump to 14.0, like the rollout boards feature, I could move that right now, and some of these others towards the end.
That one for sure won't happen in 13.12.
Yeah. Okay, let's get that one out. I'll do the filters one just preemptively too. But yeah, you all can help move these as well, like as you see the ones that you think should go towards the end, or if this list looks out of order to you. Any comments overall on this, just the structure of it, or how we're feeling?
There's one thing, the get ancestors of an epic using GraphQL is technically blocking one that's above, which is allow users to gain more context about an epic.
Okay.
Because ancestors are, yeah. So the sidebar is almost, so that one, the allow users to gain more context, is the sidebar. That's almost finished. We're just missing, like, honestly, for MVC, it's finished. We're just missing participants and ancestors, which is actually like iteration, I don't know, 3, I think, of sidebar. But I've had time to work on that. And for ancestors, we need the backend we need a GraphQL endpoint that doesn't exist. I don't know about priorities compared to the rest.
Yeah, because we have a couple bugs. So this one's a blocker, and we don't know who's picking it up yet.
It's a blocker for finishing the sidebar, but at the same time, I don't think ancestors are necessarily, like, it's not a hard requirement to release epic boards, I would say. There's a lot of stuff in that. Actually, that should be an epic. Like the issue about the sidebar should be an epic because it's actually huge now. But I, like, given the information that Alexis has provided for it, I would say it's not a hard requirement for MVC 3. I still think it would be nice to have, because then we have parity with the sidebar on epic page, which kind of makes sense to have.
Let's leave it in for now, but you could break another epic inside, and we could punt that whole thing to 14.0 as well for the work.
Absolutely. And the other one is the create a new epic within a list, which is another big one that hasn't been picked up yet. That could also be moved to 14.0, I think. The epic with the 3 issues in it.
Oh, this whole one.
Yeah, this one, because it requires quite a bit of GraphQL work on the back end. And the conversation I had with Donald about this was that it was less likely that people would like adding a bunch of epics at once into a board like they do for issues, because epics are much bigger. So we could move that to 14.0 comfortably. I feel like there's probably other things that are more urgent. But these are the last bits that haven't been picked up, and I don't think they're terribly urgent. So
yeah, and we haven't even kicked off 14.0 yet, so we're still well ahead of the game as long as they get picked up and assigned during that next release. Okay, so that's good. So we've got lots in 14.0, a fair amount that are still in 13.12. Is there any risk of these that are currently there needing to move to 14.0? What about this aggregate counts for epic boards? This one, as long as this one's in by 14.0. Oh, it's already.
Yeah, these are not difficult to put in.
Yeah.
I mean, you can see that he's done 3 of those with 1 merge request. I'm currently doing all the epics, and they're like, I can bash one of these out in like an hour.
Okay, well, that's good. So this one, are there any that would be blocked? I guess the swim lanes for sure, but board created.
I guess if the feature doesn't exist for epic boards yet, it would be blocked. This is probably not the biggest issue, as in there's probably more to add.
Yeah.
Because you can see how epic ones
there.
Is like, yeah. So I think one thing we might want to do is to add all the things in the epic as features that we have for epic boards and put them into this table.
Yes.
Because I think right now it's like stuff that already existed, but I mean, stuff is still being developed. So
yeah, there was very few trackers for boards when I looked. in the database. Like I couldn't find any Redis trackers or anything. So I don't think there's even a really robust set of actions for issue boards. We're kind of paving new territory here. So things like adding a new list. There's a lot of actions I could think of here that we could put on. But the ones with stars for sure, like these two, we would want to go live on 14.0 just so we can see how many people created boards or viewed them, but everything else we could sprinkle in later. Okay, well, I'll look at this too and see if I can beef up this table this week.
Great.
Note to self. I think that's it for MVC3. Are there any other questions on this? Sounds like we're tracking for 14.0 currently. And we talked about tracking, so that one looks good. I need to add more trackers. Okay. I have one tracking question, if everyone can look at it with me too. This is off of the MVC3 though. So I just want to make sure that there's space if anyone wants to talk anything else about the MVC3 and Epic boards in general.
I have a pretty what feels like a pretty silly question. The title of MVC3. I don't understand some of it.
Okay. Let's talk about it. Where's my, oh, here we go.
So it says add and create
Oh.
epics with sub-epic nuances and final. I don't know what that means.
Nuances. Yeah.
Most of it means it's just that one word. I don't know what that.
Yeah, that's a spelling error. Nuances.
Because I tried looking it up and I was like, I'm only getting offensive
nuances.
things. And it's something that I don't know. I didn't think it was because I get what it meant, but yeah.
Anyway. We've moved beyond this. I think that this one, the theme around this one is really the sorting new lists. Yeah. Sorting was MVC2. This one's like final wrap up, visiting. Let's just say final.
The remaining 90%.
Yeah.
Let's say ready for something, for release or something.
Yeah.
Parity or consistency or something.
Yeah.
Ooh, nice.
Oh, that's good. Final polish and parity for final release.
Word's so good.
Ping me on things like that when you see them too, because sometimes I just totally miss that, and then I keep reading it and it makes sense to me. But
I just it was one of those things where I kept looking at it and then thinking I have to ask about that, and then it just not happening.
Well, I just copy pasted it to Sid on a call on Monday, so he probably saw my spelling error there too. Nance's. All right.
Brilliant.
Any other feedback?
I would say the priority of the aggregate counts one could, it's already being worked on, maybe it's not a problem, but maybe that could be lower because it is something that we could do later. Or do you think that the priority is okay?
I think, well, if I had to pick, you're right. Yeah, I would put that to the bottom. However, that takes them 30 days for them to ramp up, for them to get into the system. So like the fact those are already in, we're pretty much done like what would be necessary to have tracking on day one on when the 14.0 release goes out with just these. So yes, as of now that those are in, I would probably put this like before rollout or something like that in terms of how I would see it of our time. We'll also add feedback issues and I guess close MVC 1, and then we'll have a feedback issue for the main blog when we're in 14.0 as well. Just going to open up this drawer and just make sure. This looks like 14.0.
Yeah, the weight one was a funny one because that Epic boards that was the aggregation of the weight of
Yes.
the issues in the epics in your epic board. So it's like all rolling up. Okay.
Is that one blocking? No, that says 14.1. I'm assuming it's not blocking any of our MVC 3 work.
That's a good question. Do we have any? I mean, if the front end's not after it, then is that part
Yeah.
of parity with
Is that
issue
a-
boards?
Is
'Cause
it, would
sounds
that
like
be
an
this
issue
epic
board
count?
parity thing.
Oh no, epic count. I'm wait.
So weight is
Yeah,
a bit
or-
tricky because we don't. I think it's quite complex because there's no weight assigned to epic, so it would be like bubbling up weight from issues.
Yeah, there is.
And we've moved it to 14.1 as in it's probably not necessary for epic boards release. It could be something that we add after.
Yeah, I agree.
guess.
It
This
doesn't.
is like totaling weights on an epic, right? From all its children.
Weight
Yes.
on epics
Or-
is not straightforward. So
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. So that one's
Well,
outside of it.
We do have the weight aggregate of every epic, because you can ask for that, and that bubbles up all of its children and all of its descendants. I put that in, so I know it's there. But this has been a while. This is for the epic tree, and so my sense is that this for the entire thing, like a list or something, or is this within like the entire board itself? It depends on the scope.
So I think there was a requirement to be able to have weight in board scope at some point.
Right.
So I feel like this would not just be about epic boards, like you just said, like epic tree could benefit from that, like bubbling up weight could benefit just epics in general.
Okay. So that I can see a scalability thing there if we didn't do it properly. So I think it's good that it's on back end. But I'm surprised that front end doesn't have front end as well. I suppose it's not in GraphQL, so front end isn't.
Well, yeah, there will be front end work. There will be front end work to display that, but like I think the main complexity here is on the back end.
Agreed. Yeah.
Because it's grabbing weight from children issues and so on. I think what the conversation was that we could release epic boards without this, given complexity, and just it would be a future iteration for epic boards.
Because we would need a design that would have on each individual epic card, it would have to have its weight of all of its kids, or maybe an issue count too of all of its children. I'm okay with punting this as well, and then we'll do a follow-on.
Alexis says that it's okay to have it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like to your point, Kristen, it's like, is it the weight of the epic I'm looking at? Does the weight of the epic mean the weight of only that epic, or that epic and all its children, or like
And all its grandchildren? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Charlie, is that calculation pretty expensive?
It's beefy, yeah, but it's entirely possible that we could use a batch sort of thing. So at the moment, you feed the lazy epic aggregator, you feed it an epic ID, and then it has a big huge query that does the thing that you want it to do, and it can also do count at the same time if you ask it to do that. So it's designed so that you can pile things on if you need to. Now we might be able to get away with doing something. I mean, and in GraphQL you can do some of these batching things quite nicely, but because it's kind of an aggregate query rather than just off one thing, it's entirely possible that it will not be easy to do. So yeah, I'm already thinking the complexity might be really high.
Yeah, we can take this offline, but like maybe something we would want to consider is like on the user visually seeing the epic, then we just go get the weight so that we're not doing a bunch of extra work that we don't need to. But that's a technical implementation thing that we can discuss offline.
Yep, great idea.
Okay. That's great. And we decided officially that's out. So that one is okay that it's outside of MVC 3. We'll figure out where it belongs after.
Yeah, it's not inconsistent because it doesn't really exist in
Yeah.
Epic.
Yeah. Okay, I think that's all of it. I wanted to just come back to this one tracking question here. Oops, that's the wrong, I gave you the wrong link. Hold on, those are the tracking objects. Let me just go. This is the one, I'm gonna link it.
It's so beautiful.
So all of the work that we all did, or you all did, for getting all the trackers in are in the system. This is, I pulled out a SciScience and pulled a CSV. So good job, everyone. They're all lit up, and I am slowly going to go through, and in column C, I'm adding a link to getting the actual data on a chart. So for the first one that I did a test on, you could see here, I'm pulling the MAU for creating an epic, which has it around 2,900 in April. So that one is lit up and in the system.
Did I just see the number of epics being created is doubled in the last month?
We had a huge jump. I can show you in a different, I have so much, I'm sorry. This
Sorry,
is like
I don't want to
day.
do the conversation. I'm like, did I see that right? Oh,
not a double, but look at like April. I'm trying to get to the bottom of why we had such a big leap. This is our older counter, but these are epics created. So it's a fairly massive jump in April. It may be due to a bigger customer onboarding, which I'm trying to get to the bottom of as well. But yeah, it's pretty cool. That's like 7,500 new epics, which is almost double our old goal of 3,900, which is really cool. So back to this. So just in terms of naming conventions, I noticed that there's this chunk, the yellow columns, that are not using underscore users in the titling. So like everything in orange has underscore users before the action.
That is because they were implemented before we decided we wanted to do that.
Okay.
So this is, yeah, so this is something where we came up with, when we were implementing these counters, you know, we came up with one, and then as we kind of did, we thought, okay, we have to standardize some things. And it wasn't until about, I don't know, a third of the way through that we were like, oh, hang on, we need to have users in the title. So yeah, product intelligence is still figuring this out as well.
Yeah. Okay, so that's good to know. So they are all behaving the same way. It's just a nomenclature issue right now in terms of how they're labeled. Okay.
Talk to product intelligence if you want that changing, because they might be open to that.
Yeah, and I may be able to also change them because these are kind of like the definitions of these kind of live with me. So I might be able to put underscore users into these ones so that they're consistent. The other thing that I was just talking to Gabe about before this is that I think what we'll do, because right now this is aggregating users. So it would be, if we look at like the title one, or this one, like number of users who edited a description monthly, we don't have anywhere where we're actually tracking how many descriptions were edited. So I think I'm going to add one where it's like, instead of users, like right in here, it would go to count. I don't know if you all can see what I'm doing or if it's too small. And I wouldn't obviously be in capitals, but then for each mechanism, we would have the total users making the change, as well as like how many descriptions actually got updated. So I may just create another issue that has a similar table at the top, and we would all just kind of go through and just add in counts for all the same ones. And that would let us see like how often do people edit their descriptions versus the titles and other features on the actual page versus just the users. Okay, that was my only question. Thank you everyone who worked on this. It's cool seeing them all light up.
It's really nice to see them used as well, like sort of seeing how they're being being put to use. It's great.
Yeah, we're actually building out a big table with Gabe. So I'll just show quickly. I can link this as well. This is all issues Gmail. So his total users here interacting with issues is around 310,000. And so that's the aggregate of all of these issues. So down below, I just started adding ours. So we're gonna have the same format. I've only put 2 in so far of all of that from the spreadsheet, but they'll all be in here as a grid. And then we'll be able to see total users interacting with epics. And this right now, only 2% of our customers have implemented onto 1310 where they could have got these trackers. So this is really like not the whole picture until we see that number get up higher. Gabe's was implemented in 13.5 and he's still only at 42% adoption. So that's just something to keep in mind, is not everyone downloads and uses the latest GitLab. Some of them only do it once a year. All right, I know we're well over time by 6 minutes here, but I just wanted to thank you and ask those clarification questions. The trackers are going to be awesome for our team.
Right.
Yay.
Well, thank you for yeah, that everything. And Alex is so happy.
All right, well, that concludes MVC 2 and 3 kickoff. Hopefully the last one for Epic boards. And then we'll kick off boards again when we have new issue types and you get to build it a 3rd time. All right, thank you everyone. This is going to be awesome. I'm really looking forward to it, and I'm already using Epic boards and in love with them, so it's game changer feature. Thank you for your
Fantastic.
work on it.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye everyone.